Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Feel free to take your devices off mute. Let me hear your voices.
Hello?
All right.
Hello.
Oh, awesome to hear y'all voices again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
All right. As we get going, let's get a couple successes. Give us some positive news, something awesome
I
that's
do.
happened to you.
Well, it's not just happened, but it happened last semester. I've just finished my spring semester. I have 2 more to go, one in the summer, one in the fall. But I was struggling with organic chemistry. I failed the first 2 exams, but I was able to turn it all around and get a B- in the class.
That is fantastic.
Awesome. Anybody else feeling brave? Want to take their devices off mute and share a little positive news there?
I finally took my driver's test and I passed it.
All right. Hey, that's positive. Wish gas was a little cheaper. All right. Anybody else before we get started tonight? One more.
I started my first day of research today.
Awesome.
Me too.
Awesome. Congrats. So let's go ahead and get started. Want to be respectful of your time. Just want to say thank you and welcome back. We're happy to have you as we get started with our summer series. We miss hearing your voices. So really excited about tonight's interaction. I want to go ahead and get started with a little question here, a little icebreaker to get us started. So what percentage of Black students tend to keep their feelings about the difficulty of college to themselves? Please feel free to share your answer. I believe a poll should be popping up to put your suggestions in there. All right. All right. Looks like we got 55% is leading the way, 40% in second place, and 75% coming in third so far. Let's see what we got, Deb. 75%. Great job, everyone. So as we transition to our next slide here, we do, like we do, every summer and throughout the year, we try to bring great dynamic speakers and information to you to help provide a well-balanced level of information and education around not only, helping you matriculate through the educational process, but also just some life lessons as well. So we're really excited tonight to bring Carmel Burney to the table. Is going to walk us through being my superhero power is resiliency. So definitely excited about tonight. You all know I asked you to bring positive energy, great interaction. Welcome him to the family as he's new to our team here. So let's give him a warm welcome and build some great interaction. And I'm gonna turn it over to Carmel Burney. Welcome to the team, man.
Thank you so much, Brian. So much. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Like Brian said, my name is Carmel Burney. Had to forgive me today. I had to be resilient myself. I woke up this morning with a temperature of 104 degrees, and I have been struggling all day with decongestions and everything, just trying to nurse myself back to health, just to make sure that I can be here with all of you guys here this evening. So bear with me as much as you can. I'm gonna try to muster up as much energy as I can to really, deliver a great seminar for you guys tonight. So resilience is my superpower, pathways to resilience in education. Now, I know in LSAM we use the word pathways a lot. Every goal, everything that we're trying to reach has, you have to have pathways to get there. So what this presentation is about, it's about finding pathways to becoming more resilient. We're going to be identifying, a lot of the core competencies of resilience. And we're going to have some open discussions and some interactive activities, along the way. So we can get started here. Deb. What is resilience? So let's talk about what resilience is. Hit that arrow. Let's see. So resilience is the learned and practical ability to bounce, grow, connect, and flow during volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous times. Bounce. What do you guys think that means? Somebody want to give some input on what do you mean by bounce?
Well, I think of the word rebound more than bounce. So like you get back up after going down.
Absolutely. That's a great example. Anyone else want to elaborate?
Getting back up after you fall back down.
Yep, absolutely. Almost kind of like the, in a sense, the bend not break mentality, but you want to bounce back. You know what I mean? You get up and get. I like that. I like both of those. So you want to bounce and grow and connect and flow. So in the face of resilience, we want to adapt. You know what I mean? We want to learn from what we're going through. You see that depiction there. I love that art there. I see resilience is cut off a little bit, but you see that it's like a dragon that is representing adversity. And you see the little guy there, he's representing resilience. And that little message up there, it says, this too shall pass. So he's going through the fire, you know what I mean? But he has his shield, he's being resilient and holding his shield up, through the adversity, and that's what resilience really is about. All right, next slide. So on this one, we say understanding resilience. Resilience is the ability to grow, as we already talked about, and thrive in the face of challenges and bounce back from adversity. And give me what I want you guys to do. I want just a few of you to give me what you think of when you think resilience. You know what I mean? Like before we even talked about the bounce and everything, bouncing back, when you heard the term resilience, you were attending a resilience presentation. What was the first thing that came to mind?
How to overcome stress.
Okay. Yep, overcoming stress.
How to improve after failing.
Improve after failing. Love it. Absolutely. And let's get one more.
I see it as knowing how to, handle the cards that you've been dealt, to be flexible, to move with what life is giving you.
I like that word, flexible. I like that. But yeah, to have flexibility, you know what I mean? To be able to overcome these obstacles. And we're going to talk more about, all of these are great examples. See some resilience facts down here at the bottom, resilient people know when and how to express emotion. You know, asking for help is a resilient strategy. Resilience can be messy. Everyone can develop resilience. So these are just a few facts, you know, that they're dropping there. I'm gonna elaborate on those moving forward. Okay, we can go to the next one. So key competencies. So these are the 6 core competencies, and you know, the building blocks of resilience. So the first one is self-awareness, reflecting upon how you think, feel, and act. We all know self-reflection is important. It's very important to, you know, in order to be resilient, you have to have a good understanding of yourself and things that know who you are, know how certain things impact you. You know what I mean? Understanding who you want to be in the process. And that caveats to the second one, which is self-regulation, keeping your emotions and actions in check. I'm kind of going through that with my youngest daughter right now. She is the friendliest child you ever meet. You know, she likes to be friends with everybody, you know what I mean? But, you know, the second someone does something to frustrate her, you know what I mean? Granted, she's only 5, you know, cut her a break. But if someone does something she doesn't like or that she feels is, you know, disrespectful to her, you know, she reacts a certain way. For example, like the other day, she's in summer camp and she was playing with a child, and you know, another child came and, you know, it was her friend. Another child came and grabbed her friend away to go play basketball. And when my daughter tried to play basketball with them, the other child that came over and took her friend away said, "No, you can't play with us," and got in her face, said, "You can't play with us." My daughter looked at her and said, "I will punch you." So even though I understand, you know, her emotions, I had to teach her self-regulation. She had to learn how to redirect herself. So keeping our emotions in check, you know, I mean, yeah, it starts as a child, but, you know, even now, you know, sometimes we have to contain ourselves. Optimism, maintaining a hopeful and realistic outlook. Realistic, important. Optimism, some people think of optimism and they say, you know, they're thinking like you have like this sunshine and rainbows with the pot of gold at the end of a mentality. Well, I would say that approach to optimism is more of a, you know, unrealistic outlook. You know what I mean? So be like somebody if you jump out of an airplane without a parachute and you say, "God got me," you know what I mean? That's not a realistic outlook on optimism. You know, God might have you, but he'll have you in the afterlife after you hit the ground. You know, so we're going to get more into optimism. We're going to go through all of these competencies and break down each one. But that one is very important, which we'll get into next. Mental agility. That's why I like someone earlier said, be flexible. Being flexible and accurate in the way you think. Avoiding those thinking traps. You know what I mean? And we're going to go through the thinking traps, you know, as we go through the presentation here. We're going to go through all the thinking traps. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to be able to identify with them. Strengths of character. Know your strengths and how to use them. Very important. That kind of that goes along the lines of self-awareness. You know, know your strengths, know the things that you're good at, and then know how to where to apply those strengths. You know what I mean? There are certain times to apply certain things. We'll get more into that later. And building and maintaining strong relationships. I'm sure you heard this, you know, in many different settings. These connections are important. Building relationships are important, you know, in maintaining a positive outlook and building resilience. All right, next slide. All right, so as I said, this is very important. Optimism is the engine of resilience. Optimism is the engine of resilience. One more time, optimism is the engine of resilience. Realistic optimism. It is important. You cannot have resilience without an optimistic outlook. You cannot be resilient without an optimistic outlook. You know what I mean? We're not talking about sun rays and rainbows, sunshine. We're talking about realistic optimism. And then that HTGS stands for hunt the good stuff, which is a concept developed in master resiliency training within with the Army that I'm going to share with you all. We'll get more into that. But keep this: optimistic thinkers compared to pessimistic thinkers are happier and have less depression, are healthier and live longer, have stronger relationships, perform better under pressure, and are more successful in school and work. Optimistic thinkers. Optimistic thinking is difficult because of negativity bias. The negativity bias is the tendency to pay more attention to bad events than good events. How many of us have been victims to that? You think you pay more attention to the negatives. You've been victim to it, or you might know somebody. Everybody knows that one negative, that negative Nancy or whatever the case. Say you like buy a new car or something, and that person might have, say you bought a new, I don't know, GMC Denali. Let's just say that, and that person, that negative biased person will say something along the lines of, oh yeah, they're recalling those. You're all happy about your new car. Everybody else is congratulating. You got that one person always got some negative outlook. But it says negative. You see, negativity bias is not always a bad thing. It can be. It has protected our survival in some cases. If you have a negative bias towards wild, dangerous animals, then in the event, on a matter of thinking that they might attack you, that could save you in a situation where you're out in the wilderness or something of that nature. You know what I mean? But that's just an example of how it could be positive. But remember, optimistic thinking is the key to resilience. Optimism is the engine of resilience. If you guys were in person, I would have you guys repeating that like congregation right now. All right, so moving forward, we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk more about the hunt the good stuff. Hunt the good stuff. So I heard a few of you earlier in the opening. I heard Brian asked the question of, he asked for people to talk about something good that happened to you. And I want you guys to, kind of, we want to reflect, because first of all, let me tell you about Hunt the Good Stuff. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Why, when you're going through something, a lot of times, we're going through adversity, we're going through a struggle, we have anxiety about something. A lot of times you can get caught in these thinking traps, or more or less you can get caught in a cycle of negative thinking. And, sometimes that it gets overwhelming and it just feels hopeless. The hunt the good stuff mentality is basically you taking the best out of that situation, and making the best of it. You know what I mean? I heard gentlemen talking about how, about his grades earlier, I think it was that Evan, I think it was his name. Could you elaborate on that again? I want to say, I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Can you guys hear me?
Wait, can you just give me 1 second? I really want to answer this question, but I just received an important call. Can I get a minute?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. No, we'll just move on to getting this started. So somebody, we're gonna kick this off with someone giving a good thing or reflecting on it. Give me one good thing that happened to you, and then I want you to, kind of reflect on it. So it can be just one thing that happened, and then just tell us how it made you feel.
Is it possible I can go now?
Absolutely, whenever you want.
Again, sorry about that. That was a call from a family member about something.
Good.
We're going through a moving process. But I started off, or I retook organic chemistry too. I dropped it in the fall of 2021. I was really struggling with the class, And I said to myself, I'm going to take this next semester and do better. Otherwise, I'm going to fail. I don't have what I need to focus and succeed. So I took the class in the spring, and I started off not so well. I got a 35 on the first exam. So I had to rechange my study habit. I had to go ask for help. I had to communicate with peers who knew the subject better. And I got a 49 for the next exam, which was above the average, but still failing. But for the third exam, I pushed myself even harder, and I got myself a 77. And then for the final, I got a 151 out of 200. And because the way the class worked, my final average was replaced my exam average. And because I was doing well on the homework, that helped balance it out.
Outstanding. So that and that's not just resilience, man. That's also perseverance. You persevered. You kept a positive outlook. You stayed focused. You stayed optimistic. And the adversity you faced was you failed the first time, and then you gotta
Well, I didn't fail the first time. I did a withdrawal.
You did a withdrawal the first time. Okay. So then you say you got a 35, and then you got a 49. And then the last time, you got the 77, which is what you needed.
Yeah. And then for the final, I got basically a 75, which replaced the exam average.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. You know what I mean? Congratulations to you on that. So that is that's a good thing to reflect on. You know what I mean? You passed the class, you know what I mean? You went through that adversity, you stayed focused. Hunt the good stuff. Basically, I give you another example. My younger brother just graduated high school. My youngest brother, he just graduated high school. He recently took his driving test, and he failed the computer portion of it. But I encouraged him, but he, I told him, look, keep your head up. We hunt for the good stuff. Hunt for the good stuff. You just graduated high school. You graduated middle college. So he's graduating high school with an associate's degree. You know what I mean? You also just turned 18 on Sunday. You know what I mean? And, you can retake that test in 7 days. Hunt for the good stuff. He was down and out because he failed the computer exam, but he had things that he could keep him positive, that kept him helped him maintain a positive outlook. So hunt the good stuff. You know what I mean? Find the positivities, take the positive out of your situation and use it to fuel you to reach your goals. So did anybody else want to share? I know someone else had something good that happened to them as well.
I have not taken my driving test and I passed it too.
Awesome. Were you a first time go?
Yes.
Great, congratulations. Did you have any kind of anxiety about it, or were you
I was nervous. I was really nervous because at first I was prepared to have the person in the car with me, but it turns out we're the first pilot in the state. So they're doing a new version of the driving test in which they put a camera in your car and they watch you as you're driving and they instruct you from when they're inside.
Oh, wow.
With your parent to your side can't say nothing to you though. So you not only are you riding basically by yourself, but you have your parents in the car with you. You're like, oh my God, I can drive fine without certain parents, but then you drive with that one parent, you're like, oh God, I'm nervous now.
That is intriguing. I didn't know that they had started doing that. Where are you located?
I'm in Georgia, and I'm in
okay.
Americus.
Americus, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too far from here in Columbus. But wow, I didn't know they had started doing that. But yeah, passed. So I'm gonna see Deb is adding some of the good things, past the driver's test. Anybody else want to share one more good thing?
I can share. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. I got on the dean's list this past semester, so that was very exciting and a lot of hard work, but I made it through. So
Congratulations. Got on the dean's list. Was it your first time on the dean's list?
I've gotten on the dean's list twice before, but I struggled going back after COVID, I guess, quote unquote, ended. So where we were able to go fully back in person. So I struggled for a semester, but I pulled myself back together. So we're doing good now.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations. And see, these are, positive, outlooks. You have to have optimism, in this process. In order to be resilient, you have to find those positive cliff notes in your day-to-day life, or things that happen positively in your life. You can't focus, you can't get caught up in the negative bias or the negativity bias of everything. Sometimes things go bad, you know what I mean? I know, Evan was struggling. Evan was telling us he was struggling, with his, with those initial scores at first, but, he kept a positive outlook and he overcame that, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. Resilience is fueled by optimism, and optimism is the engine of resilience. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so in this one, we're gonna talk about self-regulation, identifying things that are controllable and uncontrollable. So what we want to talk about here is we want people to share things that might have stressed you out before, or you can also be sharing something that stressed somebody else out. Just sharing something in not so many words, that we can use or apply in this exercise. So tell us something that stressed you out recently. It can be something school related, it could be personal, it could be, you know what I mean? It could be something, whatever you choose to share. It can even be something that happened this morning. You might have spilled some coffee on all over your clothes on the way to work or something. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as that.
I would say that something that stresses me out is having to clean constantly.
Having to clean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got one. It's pretty wild though. I actually graduated a couple weeks ago, and I caught COVID the week of graduation. But rather than let that get me down, I called my doctor. They cleared me to go, and I had a lot of rearranging to do. I had to rearrange parties, make sure I was safe to go, and everything. So that was pretty stressful.
Oh man. So you said it was right before. You said right before graduation.
I found out 2 days before, but my symptoms started a week prior. So I was like clear to go outside and everything.
Oh, okay. Got you. So, okay. So that's a good one. Anybody else have one? And this is a broad, type of thing. Like I said, it could be something that's a really big deal, or it could be something that's, something. It could be something that just bothering you. You know what I mean? It could just be something that's, pet peeve type situation as well.
I got something. Family drama can be very stressful.
Family drama. That's a good one.
Job interviews are really stressful.
Job interviews, yes. Absolutely. Any more? Come on now, I know everybody. Look, I know everybody got something to stressing them out.
I'm moving in a month, so I'm trying to plan for that.
Moving, yep, that could be stressful, definitely. I've moved 3 times in the last 2 years, so yeah. And I was in the Army, so yeah, moving can be stressful.
Time management.
Time management, good one.
I'd say
Sometimes
figuring
I
out
was
what
in
to
the
do after
Army.
graduation.
Post graduation.
Saving money.
Said saving money. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
These things definitely can be stressful. Okay, perfect. So we got a nice setup here. Having to clean, reschedule, had to reschedule because of COVID, family drama, job interviews, moving, time management, these post-graduation decisions, and save money. All right, so let's move down. So okay, we're in the self-regulation aspect under control, the controllables. So let's start with having to clean. So start from the left. We're going to work our way from the left. Is that a big deal or a little deal? Anybody?
I think it could be both. It could be a big deal and a little deal, depending on how clean you like your place.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. It depends on what type of cleaning you're trying to do. Like, let's say you go into the grocery store and you just been around a whole bunch of people. Cleaning that would make it a big deal. But if you like just staying all up in your home the whole time and then just cleaning up dust and stuff, then it's probably less.
Okay. Asking the person who gave us the habit to clean, were you talking about a major cleaning activity or something just kind of just getting on your nerves that you have to do all the time?
I have a younger sister, and it gets really tedious having to clean up after her often.
Okay. So in that aspect, asking the same question, do you feel, and it's anybody, do you feel that that is a big deal or a little deal? With that additional detail in mind.
I think if I'm used to having like little cousins and siblings. Well, not siblings really, but little close cousins that are little. So cleaning up after them. So I can say that sometimes, like if they're just trashing the place like constantly, and it's on purpose, it could be a big deal. Yeah, but if it's just not intentional, like accidents and things, and they really feeling guilty about it, I believe it's a little deal.
Okay. So I think even with knowing the details, we're under the consensus that it could be either a big deal or a little deal. So if we can go with both on that one. So is it something that's controllable or uncontrollable? That's the next question.
I think it could be controllable.
It can. Why?
You can minimize it, definitely.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's controllable because it's something you can actually, you can take time to clean. You know what I mean? Even though it's probably tedious and it's probably nerve-wracking, but it's actually something you can do. You can also, in addition, you can regulate your little sister, you know what I mean, and teach them how to practice more cleanliness. So that's another way that it is controllable. So the scenario with catching COVID and finding out 2 days before graduation, is that something that's probably a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, that's a big deal. That should be at least.
Definitely. So is that something controllable or uncontrollable?
I would go with uncontrollable for that point, because even if you are careful, you could still catch it from who knows where. So I would go for uncontrollable at this point for that one.
Okay. So, and then there was family moving along. There was family drama. Family drama, big deal or little deal? Depends, right?
Depends on what type of family drama it is, then yes.
Right. I'm gonna say big deal because a lot of times we equate family drama with, if you say that it's family drama, then it's something that's boiling over. Is that something controllable or uncontrollable? And that's a good question for that one.
I would put that under uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes when you with your family, they just can't just get along at all, even though they are blood. They might have some type of affection for each other, but at the end of the day, they just can't get along. And so it might as well just be like, it's nothing you can change or what anyone else can change. Only they can change it. And if they don't want to change it, you can't do anything about it. So it's uncontrollable to me.
Yeah. And I think that's a good answer because this is self-regulation. So it's a matter of how the family drama is affecting you. Can you change the family drama? Depending on what it is, I would say possibly if you are the mediator type. But if there's if it's like something that's a constant, then you kind of, from a self-regulation standpoint, you just have to kind of find ways to, either adjust how you think about it, or, if you feel like you can mediate, then you might want to take action to try to fix the problem. So I guess that, that one can probably be either or. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. Job interviews, big deal, little deal, depending on how much money, right? How big the job is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me right now, it's kind of a big deal because it's kind of like a job that would progress my career aspirations, I guess. And it's a hospital job, and I'd be working 12-hour shifts. So it's like a really big deal, high risk job, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, it'd be a big deal. It's a big deal because it's a great opportunity and it's a big step in your life. But it's something that's controllable or uncontrollable.
In my opinion, it would kind of be both because, you put in your effort during the interview, but at the same time, the people that are interviewing you might have different opinions about you, or they might be looking for something in particular, and you just don't know that.
Right, exactly. The only thing you can control, the action you can take is to control your preparation for it. You can regulate yourself and prepare for your interview and make sure you've done everything possible to put your best foot forward. But the uncontrollable aspect is, how the interviewer feels or how they perceive you, or maybe they don't feel like, they might not feel like that person is right for the job or whatever the case. But you can control what you do to prepare for it, and then as long as you put your best foot forward, that's what matters. And then if you don't get the job, then that job probably wasn't for you. We move on we hunt the good stuff and say, hey, maybe there's a better opportunity for me out there. Maybe this one just wasn't it. Moving can definitely be stressful. So moving is, I think that will probably be both. I'm going to start moving along here in the interest of time because I know the time is starting to catch up with us a little bit. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but moving can be a little bit of both. It'd be a big deal and a little deal. Depends on where you're moving to. It's usually a big deal, especially when you're moving from, when you're moving geographically far away or like to another state, or, you know what I mean? There's a lot of change involved in that. new setting, new people, new job, new or new school, depending on, what your life's looking like at that point. And is it controllable or uncontrollable? It could be a little bit of both. It could be uncontrollable in the fact that you didn't have an option or whether or not you moved, and or it could be, controllable and, you do what it kind of like falls like with the job interview prep. You prep best you can for the move. You do your due diligence and knowing where you're moving to, doing the recon work to know where you're headed, so there's that. And Deb, you don't have to type them in anymore. We'll just kind of fly through these right quick. And then time management. Time management, it just seems like 24 hours isn't enough time in the day sometimes. You know what I mean? Can we control time management? I would like somebody to answer that one. Can we control time management?
Certain parts of it, yes, but other parts, I would say no.
How so?
Okay, say you're spending your time at home and you need to use that time to study for a test. That you can control that. You can actually do that. But what if you're outside and you just don't have the time to do it because stuff's happening fast and you need to make a decision at that one point at that time?
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, it could be your time can get away from you. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to get something accomplished, you know what I mean? And then you look up and then it's like, oh man, 30, 40 minutes have passed. And then you realize you don't have time to do the next thing, So absolutely, that could be something. It could be controllable as, you can try to prepare ahead of time, but it can be uncontrollable and, time just gets away from you. And it happens to all of us. Post-graduation, definitely post-graduation decisions. That's definitely something that's a big deal. Definitely something that's, you can control your decision, but you can't control the outcomes of the decision, so that could be something that's, it's definitely a big deal, but it's something that can be controllable. But certain aspects might be uncontrollable. And then saving money, Lord, we're all constantly trying to do that, so saving money, it is a big deal. And it, might be a little deal to some people who got a lot of money to play with. You know what I mean? I commend you and salute you. But it's definitely a big deal for the most of us, and it is something that's another controllable and uncontrollable. Controllable, and you can put money away, to save each month or whatever the case. Uncontrollable, and you don't know what your circumstances are. Things pop up. Might not be able to put money away that month. So you might have to start putting away less money. So control, what you can control. At the end of the day. So let's move on to the next slide. We're gonna move on to the next thing because, like I said, time is starting around. So I want to get to these thinking traps right quick. So thinking traps. This falls under the mental agility. So thinking traps are patterns in thinking that are not flexible and can cause us to miss critical information about a situation or individual. So jumping to conclusions, believing one is certain about a situation despite little or no evidence to support it. So everybody knows. So and that kind of falls along the lines of paranoia, or more often the case, insecurity. That could be insecurity in you trusting people, and this is seen a lot in relationships. A mental cue is slow down, critical question. What is the evidence for and against my thoughts? Why are you jumping to conclusions? What evidence supports? Sometimes you might maybe it's through a previous experience. You might be taking out your experience elsewhere on a situation or a person that doesn't deserve it. So just analyze that evidence before you jump to conclusion. Mind reading, assuming that you know what another person is thinking or expecting another person to know what you're thinking. Man, both of these sound like a couple of my previous relationships. But so assuming what somebody is, what they say about assumptions. but expecting another person to know what you're thinking. Mental cues, speak up. Critical question, did I express myself? Did I ask for information? In other words, if you're the person, you know, if you're assuming that you know what another person is thinking, you know what I mean? You know, you need to ask yourself, you know, did I ask for information? Do I know enough to be assuming? And then, you know, expecting someone to read your mind, you know, hey, did I express myself properly? You know, people aren't mind readers, man. Stop playing games with people. So this is the me mentality, believing that you are the sole cause of every problem you encounter. Man, I meet a lot of people who are like that. It's like it's almost like a victim mentality. They blame or self-blame. Middle cue, look outward. How did others and or circumstances contribute? You know what I mean? Don't always think it's all about you. You know, just follow the tracks. You know, see what led to the situation before you put all the blame on yourself. And again, guys, I'm kind of flying through these because, you know, time kind of slipping away from us a little bit. Them, believing that other people or circumstances are the sole cause of every problem you encounter. Middle cue, look inward. You know what I mean? It ain't always everybody else's fault. Okay. So, you know, sometimes, you know, it's important to take self-accountability and understand how did I contribute to this issue? All right. And yes, I saw that Deb said in the chat, these slides will be sent to all of you to review. So like I said, I am flying through them a little bit in the interest of time. But you know, you guys will get these slides and you will be able to kind of also go through the exercises a little bit. And I'm also going to send like some Hunt the Good Stuff journals, so you can kind of document some good things, and then kind of to kind of help you through some situations. So I'm going to send some good literature for you guys to be able to use on your own. All right. Always believing that negative events are unchangeable and that you have little or no control over them. Grab control. We just talked about, controlling the uncontrollable, under the self-regulation segment. What is changeable? What can I control? You have to have an understanding of what's controllable and what's not. And control the things that you can control and put your best foot forward, as I said about the young lady with the job interview. So it's just important to always keep that mindset, control what you can control. Everything. Believing that you can judge your character or someone else's character based on a single event, or believing that what caused the problem is going to negatively affect many areas of your life. Middle cue, get specific. Critical cue, what is the specific behavior that explains the situation? What specific area of my life will be affected? A lot of people, they might have made a mistake or had some event happen, and it's kind of like, they might feel that it defines their character or defines somebody else's, and that's not, that's not the case. Judging someone's character based on a single event, at most is usually unfair to that person, and then, for yourself, don't be so hard on yourself if you made a mistake, and thinking that, it's the end all be all and everything is on you, so just, get specific, what is the specific behavior that explains the situation, get to the bottom of it. You don't want that toxic feeling you see down below, that feeling of hopelessness, helplessness. That's not healthy, a healthy way of thinking. Escape the mind traps, the thinking traps. Mental agility is important. All right, next slide. Icebergs are basically your core values and core beliefs. I talked about it before, kind of like, heat of the moment thoughts, things that you act on immediately, or, that contradicts your core values. You might have core values that you believe in, but in the heat of the moment, your emotions can overtake you. And, you just gotta go, you gotta stay grounded and get back to those core values. Remember those core values, keep them in mind. Don't act on heat of the moment emotions. And, you should be able to identify your own icebergs. Next slide. This is just, telling you more about icebergs, when when do you need to detect an iceberg, when your emotions and reactions don't make sense based on your heat of the moment thought. It just feels irrational to what you typically believe in. How do you detect an iceberg? Use what questions to explain why you acted the way you did. What's so bad about that? What's the worst part of that? It might not be that bad. You might be overreacting. You just gotta be cognizant of those type things. What do you do after you detected an iceberg? You identify the iceberg. Is this iceberg helping or harming me? Does this iceberg need to be more flexible? And again, you're going to get these slides, and I really want you to look into this and just kind of find this about yourself, and then understanding if you've been in a situation where you feel like you've overreacted or you've acted out of character, just get back to your core values and understand them. All right, next slide. Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is new info is influenced by things we already believe. There's the Velcro effect and the Teflon effect you see. Velcro effect, evidence supports our thoughts and beliefs. Things stick to you, like you believe something about yourself and something happens that confirms that belief and it sticks to you like Velcro. And then in the process of thinking that about yourself, things can happen to contradict that belief, but then that just bounces off you. You're oblivious to it. You know what I mean? Let's go to the next slide. I'll give you an example. I was going to get somebody to read this, but I'm going to just go through the heading right quick. So this is a story about a young man who was going to a dance, and see his belief, his confirmation bias belief is that nobody likes me. As you can see in the instructions of this is read the story below, circle any of the evidence that supports the belief, and then cross out any of the evidence that does not support the belief. So he's thinking nobody likes him. And, if you look, it says it was the day of the homecoming dance. John remembered that he has never had a date to a school dance. That confirmation bias, that's the Velcro. That's what's sticking. He has a preconceived notion that nobody likes him. So the fact that he hasn't had a date to a school dance confirms that belief. However, you read a little further, he had asked Danielle last year, but she said no. He didn't have a date again this year. So instead, as usual, he was going with a group of guys who were going to meet up and play video games. If nobody likes him, then how come he knows a group of guys, to hang with? You know what I mean? So this is something, like I said, you guys are going to get these slides. You can go through that paragraph and kind of identify those. That's just an idea of what confirmation bias is. Like I said, trying to fly through this because we still got some ground to cover. And this is an exercise, I was going to do with you guys, but just it's a few examples. It kind of reiterates what we saw in that paragraph, like say a Velcro, the belief is I am a good student. Every trying to fly through this because we still got some. This that sticks. I got all A's and B's last marking period. The Teflon, I don't study for English or history. You know what I mean? My professor's calling me to answer questions. Teflon got 3 C's on tests last marking period. It's almost like the Teflon is almost like you're almost in denial. You're only catching the things that you've already had the preconceived notion of. You already those are the things that are sticking, but everything else is bouncing off of you because you're only thinking about your the bias that you've confirmed for yourself. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Next slide. This is just a list of character strengths that people might possess. You see appreciation, excellence, curiosity, forgiveness and mercy, gratitude. These are just character strengths that people possess. You see honesty, authenticity, fairness, equity and justice, spirituality and faith. Go to the next slide. I think some more probably on the next slide. Yep, so these are just more, a few more. So these are just character strength definitions. This is what they mean when they say character strength. These are things or characteristics that you possess that might be, a strength for you in a sense. Go to the next slide. So with those character strengths comes the shadow side of character strengths. There could be using a character strength too much or wrong time, wrong place, wrong context. Example, you might be a humble person, a person who displays humility. You know what I mean? So someone who has someone who displays humbleness and humility in the wrong instance where they need to be a little more assertive, that's the wrong time to display that character strength. Or using their character strength to manipulate others. You know what I mean? Using something to your advantage. Someone knows that they can trust you. You know what I mean? Because of certain character strengths, but you take advantage of that person with those character strengths. Making others feel like character strengths are not good enough. You know what I mean? Feeling like you're better than somebody else. Somebody who has faith and spirituality, making somebody else feel bad because they don't go to church or whatever like they do. That's an example of that. Using your character strengths in a way that makes others feel bad. And this is just at the bottom, you can see like an exercise where you identify your shadow side. You know what I mean? Identify your character strengths, strength the character, and then, just know how to use it properly. Excuse me, use it properly. So, that's important. It's important to identify your strength of character. And it's also important to understand the shadow side of things and knowing when and how to, utilize. So just quick connection, quick on connections, the 3 C's. Confident, you believe in your ability to handle the situation and you're composed. To be clear, the message is easy to understand and is not exaggerated. And controlled, adjust yourself based on the situation / person. These connections it's always important to make healthy connections with people. It's important in dealing with family, friends, and your professors or whomever it may be. This is an ideal model with the acronym IDEAL. I for identify and understand the problem. D for describe the problem. E, express your concerns and how you feel when appropriate. A equals ask the other person for his or her perspective and ask for reasonable change. L equals list the positive outcomes that will occur if the person makes the agreed upon change. This is just a matter of this is all about communication and maintaining healthy connections. Again, I'm going to send some material to you guys that kind of expand upon this. So this is just the connection aspect of things. Next slide, moving along. I know we're running out of time. Sorry about that, guys. So this is something that would touch on. Hey, Deb, do we have time to go through the implicit bias aspect?
I don't think so. I apologize.
Okay. No worries. And like I said, I apologize too. We got engaged, and it was great that everybody was engaged in the conversation. I know we only have a few minutes left. I definitely appreciate. I really did want to get into the implicit bias aspect of it. I know a lot of my students we did this as a hot topic. So we won't have time to watch the video. See, if you look in the chat, Deb has put the survey and the topic in use. I'm really sorry, guys, that kind of ran out of time. These resiliency sessions are usually when I give them, they're usually a full day. Sometimes I've given some that were a full week. So really had to try to condense this as much as I could into an hour. So it was tough. I really apologize. But I really want to thank you guys for having me. Thank you for your interaction. It was great. It's great to be a part of the team and to finally meet you guys. And hopefully, maybe we can do another session, man, and I can go more in depth with the implicit bias aspect.
All right. Do want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. One thing that you will learn with Deb and the team here is, regardless of time today, you're part of the family now. So you will be engaged again, and our students will be working with you again. So definitely don't worry about the time and more information and more content. We will be doing this again. I do want to say thank you. So if everybody can send those thank yous inside the chat feature, please do so. And then also definitely take care of the survey that Deb put in there. Deb, let's look at the next 2 slides there. So one, want to just say thank you to all of our sponsors, but then also, and we have collaborators who have worked very hard over the last few years to put this together. So from a 2022 perspective, we want to say thank you. And then also just be on the lookout for our future webinars on June 7th and June 22nd for STEM career conversations, along with biomedical pathways. We are excited and happy that you take your time out each week to do this. And I just want to say thank you, and excited to launch the summer series. Thank you once again for everybody's participation, and look forward to talking to everyone on June 7th. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you all so much. You guys have a great evening, great weekend.
All right. Take care.